gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Hold it, you're not that pretty. All right, man. Wait. I shook up the wall. I shook up the wall.
I bear witness there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry, on the Bungle fight. Thanking you.
They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.
How y'all doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Split Decision episode 63. With me today, I got a very, very special guest, the real deal that goes for the kill, Bill Haney. How you doing, AKHi?
Hey, brother. Salam alaikum to you, brother.
Alaikum assalam. Always a pleasure having you on Split Decision. First of all, I want to let the public know that Devin Haney, Gamboa versus Haney episode, I believe is like, it's multiple episodes by now, but is out. I'm gonna leave it in the comment section below. Also in the description box, subscribe to the Real Devin Haney TV on YouTube. So also, the Zone, Devin Haney's fighting Gamboa on the Zone November 7th for the people that don't know. But Bill, how you doing today? It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Oh, absolutely, brother. Thank you for having me on here.
Bill, you still there? Always. Bill is gonna be right back. But for the people that don't know, like I said, Devin Haney is fighting November 7th. Today we have Bill Haney, the father and trainer of Devin Haney. We're gonna ask him about everything you guys want to know from the conversation Devin Haney had with Teofimo Lopez and many more.
All right.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah. You want to repeat the question to have it clean, or do you want to just? Are you cool?
I was just saying, thank you for being here on Split Decision. But what was your take on Lomachenko versus Lopez fight? You saw the fight. Was you surprised that Teo pulled off the win? And what was your take on that fight overall?
No, actually, from seeing, if you go back on the tapes and you see that when Devin and Teofimo met up with each other at one of the fights and on the barbershop conversations, right? They both agreed that both Teofimo and Devin agreed that Loma wouldn't be the problem that everyone thinks that he is, based on a lot of things, his size, you know what I mean? The fact that he is a southpaw, but I think he's a converted southpaw. I don't think he's a left-hander, so for those reasons and alone, we felt that it would have been the same outcome or even worse if Devin had fought Loma, and that was the reason why we pursued that fight so much. But definitely shout outs to the Lopez family and everything that Teo has did, everything that Teo Sr. has prophesied as well, leading up to that fight. It's just, now about us going in and handling our business on November 7th with Yorkius Gamboa, who's a hell of a competitor, hell of a unified champion, hell of a warrior, and he's.
We lost you for a second, Bill. I think.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we talk about Yorkius Gamboa being a hell of a warrior. You know what I mean? He's a unified world champion, Olympic gold medalist. He's had some of the creme de la creme of boxers on his resume. So he's bringing everything that Devin needs, and it's the biggest step up in Devin's career. To be the biggest name to date for Devin, and we just look forward to the opportunity. We're very thankful to the Gamboa family for stepping up and challenging Devin when no one else would.
On the latest episode, Devin said he gonna end Gamboa career. That's the plan going forward when it comes to the
Well,
Gamboa fight.
Well, that's Devin is talking as a fighter, and me is talking as a dad, you know what I mean, as well as working for, as the president of DHP. We never want to see a fighter it be the fighter's last fight. That's what we don't look for a fighter to have his last fight. We look for the fighter to have a successful a fight. Please the crowd, a crowd pleasing fight, and and just that's what we look forward to. I don't want to say it being Gamboa's last fight at all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's going to be a hell of a fight. You guys could watch it on the Zone November 7th. Now, on the other hand, when it came to the Teo fight, why did Lomachenko not utilize any? What did Teo do to take that away from Lomachenko? Because he's known for his angles. They call him the Matrix, but none of that showed up. So, from your perspective, what was it that Teo did that took away the play from Lomachenko as far as the angles, so on and so forth?
That was a great question. But I don't think he did anything other than kept him at bay with a half-hearted jab. Um, Devin has the best jab in the business, and we understand a range finder. We understand the different things that you do to set up the jab. For your other shots, right hands and other things, and hooking off the jab. We didn't see those things in Teo enough to say that he did anything special. We shout out to him and everything that the family has done with Lomachenko, but we just didn't see anything special.
Right now, he did beat Lomachenko, in a unanimous decision. But after the fight, he called out Devin, in which he stated after the fight that Devin Haney is a two-time email champion. If he wanted, he could get it. Now, what was your reaction when you first heard that by Lopez?
Um, well, the tongue to say anything. Um, what we do know is that Devin is the WBC lightweight world champion. We know that Teofimo has the franchise belt, and with that means that he becomes Devin's mandatory whenever he wants to do the fight. He has the belt that can be it can challenge, but it cannot be challenged for. And he also has the WBO, WBA, and IBF, which we're very interested in. And if the WBC, the real WBC lightweight belt, is enough to entice him in to make the fight happen, I mean, for sure, we want to hang on to that belt as long as we possibly can. We know that that's the missing piece to the whole puzzle, And if we didn't fight nobody, and the casuals and the like you say always, the decafs will say that we haven't fought anyone. Well, now we hold this belt, and anybody that wants to really be a champion in the 135-pound division will step up. The decafs, they will say different. They'll say it's not the belt, it's not this, it's not that. But they're just lying to themselves. So that's why I say that the tongue might say anything. What we're pleased to be is WBC World Lightweight Champion defending against Yuriorkis Gamboa on November the 7th. And we look forward to it.
Yes, sir. Now, the missing piece to that undisputed title, or the undisputed, status or franchise that Lopez would love to have is the WBC. We already know he has the witness protection version that Lomachenko requested in order to avoid Devin Haney. Now, is that fight that's targeted next? Because Devin Haney, on more than one occasion, he stated that he wants to fight the winner versus Lomo and Teo. Now, Teo called him out. You know what I'm saying? So is this the fight to be made next for Undisputed? Because now it's as big as it's gonna get, because it's for all marvels at this point.
Absolutely. It's a fight that we want to make. It's a fight that should be made. It's a fight that can be made. I think that Bob Arum went on barbershop conversations yesterday, last night, and he stated that it would only be about the only thing will come down to is who and how that fight will actually get paid for. And it's I would say we take that we take it well. That Bob is willing and agreeing that that's a fight that the people want. It's a fight that if Teofimo wants, it's a fight that if Teofimo wants, according to Bob yesterday, that it's a fight that can happen. So I
So
mean,
Bob,
we're just happy.
Bob
We're
is
just
not
happy
going to be.
about that.
So Bob is actually entertaining the fight. He likes the
Yes,
idea of the fight.
absolutely, absolutely. And with him entertaining the fight, you know what I mean. That means everything to us. That we can make it happen. And coming from, huh?
That's positive news because
Absolutely, and that's why I said it's positive news, and to be in a position that um, PBC and Al has given Devin an opportunity with Gamboa and green lighted a fight between them, and then a possibility for a Teofimo fight. You know what I mean? It's just a great position to be in, and we hold near and dear um, the other promoters that are willing to work with us. You know what I mean? Dealing with Devin, we hold that's special. That's you know, we don't take it lightly, bro. You know what I'm saying? We can talk our ass off, but we've been working. You know what I mean? And for those guys to no matter what they said in the past, to have enough respect to entertain making a big fight like that. You know what I'm saying? It's good. We on cloud nine.
yeah, usually in the sport of boxing, Bob Arum been the roadblock when it comes to mega fights in the past, such as Martinez versus Gamboa. That fight never got made to Salido upset at Martinez because Bob Arum at the time wanted to build the fight. He did the same thing to Floyd Mayweather versus Pacquiao. So I'm glad to hear that Bob Arum is interested in this fight right now. But Tio father during the post-fight interview, he stated when he was asked about the Devin Haney fight or what is the dream fight that he wants for his son, he said Devin Haney. That's his dream fight. And ironically enough, Devin Haney nickname is the Dream. But he was pretty
Mm-hmm.
much saying that's a fight down the line that he think that's going to be a huge mega fight. So it sounded like his father doesn't want the Devin Haney fight right now because on another interview, I heard his father say he want his son to move up right away. Now, Tio, on the other hand, he the one calling out Devin saying that he wants to fight. He said that he could still make the weight, regardless of what people say. He could still make 135, and why not make it one more time for undisputed? Right now,
Well,
what's your take on what his dad said as far as he believed that's Tio, that's his dream fight that he want for Tio, and on the other hand, Tio, pretty much saying that Devin is not special. Devin is not the next Floyd Mayweather. That's a bunch of bullshit.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, with Tio and his dad, we've come up in the amateurs together with Devin and him. And you know what I mean? They weren't in the same division, but they were at the end of the brackets. They were in the championship rounds, and they went to the tournaments and stuff that only the special fighters or the really good fighters made. And qualify for. So I'm used to seeing him, and I'm used to seeing his competitive spirit and his nature. You know what I mean? So it's not new to me. Anything that he might be saying that's pro his son. But when it comes down to it, we just got to hear that they're willing to fight and when they're willing to fight. So after November the 7th, we handle our business with Mr. Gary, not Mr. Gary Russell, excuse me. I'm so stuck on him, backing out. We handle our business with Gamboa, right? November the 7th, then, we'll be able to move on to other things.
Yes, sir. Now I don't want to, because you threw that Gary Russell in the middle, just to let the public know that don't know. Um, did he ever send a new term sheet he haven't made?
No, I don't even want to even. No, he said nothing over, and I don't even want to even think about Gary Russell right now with everything that's going on. Though,
Right.
I never received nothing from him.
That up.
Yeah. I hate that. I hate that I thought about that or that I mentioned it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But
can
the
you?
G's,
That's when
I got
people
crossed up.
complain.
I
Yeah,
got
when people
crossed up with the G's. You hear me?
when people complain about Devin Haney fight and so on and so forth, he need a marquee name on his resume, not realizing he's only 21 years old, wanting to prove himself and fight the best. We all got to remember. I mean, you could help me out here, Bill. Can you name me any fighter that was willing to step on the table other than Gamboa? I don't care who it is on the top 10. Can you name me anybody that was willing to fight Devin Haney instead of Gamboa?
No, Gamboa is it, and that's why we give him. We give we give praise. We give shouts out to him and his team and his family for stepping up. We
Yes,
hear
sir.
we hear T.O. talking. We hear different fighters talking, but when it comes to signing on the dotted line for the fight, then that's something that's totally different.
Yeah, and obviously Devin Haney, he posted on Instagram the other day that he was on FaceTime with Teo Lopez. So can you tell us what the conversation was? Reveal anything that Teo told Devin? Did they agree to fight next on
Well,
on
I
on
mean,
FaceTime?
well, I'm not 100% privileged to just agree, to just discuss what they actually talked about. I can only go on what Devin has told me, and by all indications that he's getting is that Tio is interested in making the fight happen.
Okay, that's positive news right there. And Teo, he a real champion. Unlike Lomachenko, he's willing to fight the best. Now we already know Devin Haney. He his own boss. He's the youngest promoter in the game. He the youngest champion in the game. But Teo obviously got Bob Arum. Now, since Bob Arum is not the roadblock, or at least he's entertaining the fight, what's the possibility we could see this mega fight next for all marvels, undisputed, the best fighter at lightweight, and a top pound for pound fighter? What's the possibility that we see this fight next?
Well,
Because this is
like I said, of course, we have Gamboa on November the 7th, and no slight towards him, but you know what I mean. In a perfect world, we handle our business with Gamboa, then we're available we're ready for To, or whoever we can get in the ring. No different than before negotiations for this fight.
yes, sir. Now, what was your take on ESPN commentators, such as Testator, pretty much lying to the public, fooling the casual fans that don't know any better by promoting false advertisement, labeling the fight between Loma and Tio as undisputed? When ESPN, right after the fight, they posted on their website, they posted Tio as a three-time world champion in his division, but they had Devin Haney as the real WBC champion, in which they recognized Devin Haney title as the real title, and the French fries title, they recognized it as pretty much an interim title for the real title that Devin Haney has. So what was your take on, them pretty much promoting the whole night, putting out false advertisement for that fight as being undisputed throughout the night?
Well, it's three belts and a pass. The franchise belt gives you the pass to fight the WBC champion and become the mandatory. So it's three belts and a pass, and the pass comes with an asterisk. So when you talk about To and To being the first champion, first lightweight, undisputed world champion with an asterisk, so everyone talked about, he talked about the email, he talked about all the other shit. Well, now it's time to fight. See, now so what are you gonna do then? Since he ain't fought nobody, he ain't did nothing, you know what I mean? Well, he has the one piece that will complete the whole puzzle, so it's winner take all.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate the love, my man, for the super chat. We love you right back. And yeah, Bill, and I completely agree with you on that. You know, we need to see this fight. The fans, the fighters owe it to the fans. We got to see an undisputed champion at 135. We must see the one. Is it Tio? Is it Devin? Now, I still gotta ask you again. You know, the fact that ESPN, mainly Testator, promoting the fight as undisputed. As a boxing fan, that that's pretty much a horrible look on the sport of boxing, to have a big entity like ESPN, to have a worker like Testator lying to the fans. So him labeling Lopez an undisputed champion, or the winner as an undisputed champion, when he's not, that right there. What was your take on that?
Honestly, with everything in the climate of the world right now, and the way the media is confusing the people, with just the politics, and you're not sure which person to vote for, and you're not understanding, which area that this horrible disease, this COVID, is in, and what is it doing, and all the messages are being confused through media. It pales in comparison to what we're actually going through. You know what I mean? It's ironic that you're starting to see, messages that are and messages and narratives that are not true being painted on a sports television network, such as ESPN. But I want to be more optimistic about ESPN and all the great things that I've seen on it, and not just the fact that what Tessitore and what those guys are doing, because we know what's really going on. We know that Devin is the world champion. We know that Devin wanted the Lomachenko fight, and he wanted the Lomachenko fight before Teofimo even qualified for it, even before he had anything that he had did for it. We were there in position to fight Lomachenko before the Richard Comey fight. You know what I mean? When he had Nagatani, when he was fighting Nagatani, we was the mandatory for Loma. You know what I'm saying? So we don't listen to that. We just keep working hard. You know what I mean? And knowing that the fans are getting a chance to see what's really going on. That means the world to us. And we know that Devin's time is coming to be involved in a mega event, and he's going to shine.
Yes, sir. And at the end of the day, somebody have to hold ESPN accountable for that. Somebody in the executive of ESPN got to hold Tessitore accountable for a lot of false information he was putting out, such as, he labeled Lomachenko as the fastest 3-time world champion, when that was actually Carissa Shield. He was also labeling the winner as undisputed, so on and so forth. And that's just not a good look on the sport of boxing, especially on a big network like ESPN that erased Lomachenko loss in the past when they were interviewing Crawford. So something got to be done. If you make a mistake the next day, you got to acknowledge it and correct it. So as far as what's your take on a lot of media outlets, they trying to push this fight to 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when they both at 147, as some people put it, when we could have it right now at 135 for undisputed. So even though Tio is saying that, the difference between the past fighters and the new generation is that the new generation, we're not ducking anybody, we're going to fight each other. But they over here, the media outlets are trying to push the fights when they've been complaining about fights not happening on time. So what's your take on that? Is that a conflict of interest or a contradiction of some media outlets like old media?
Well, that's ironic that now that they would say that. They've been asking for the fights. What Devin wanted to be is a free smoke champion. You know what I mean? That he's there, and he's ready to defend. He's not a franchise champion. It's a potential for him to fight Ryan Garcia, the winner of Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell. I've heard that Javier Fortuna and Jorge Linares are in a match, which to me I never understood, because I always thought that Javier Fortuna was Devin's mandatory, but he's now fighting Jorge Linares for Jorge Linares to become his mandatory, I guess. I don't know. But like I say, Devin is a free smoke champion, and
Yes, sir.
whatever the WBC should order, that's what we're gonna go along with.
Yes, sir. He is not on witness protection. He on free smoking notice.
Absolutely.
So now Teo, in the past, leading up to the Lomachenko fight, he said that Bob Arum sent you guys an offer leading up to the Lomachenko fight. What was that offer he sent you guys that Bob sent that Teo was talking about?
No, Teo never sent over offer, and Bob can send it now. Now's the time.
Oh, so that wasn't true. Okay.
No,
Now,
that wasn't true.
yeah, so now is the time for that to happen. Now, obviously, I heard Teo and Devin Haney sparred in the past, but was you there? Did you witness the sparring between Teo and Devin Haney?
Absolutely.
Now, what was his power real then? I don't know how long ago they sparred, but did he have that same power that he's displaying now?
Absolutely. He had the same power. He had the same power. I mean, he had the same power that he has now. He had the same power when he showed up, and he had the same power when he left because he didn't get a chance to use it fucking with us.
Oh, so pretty much how did the sparring go?
He came with his power and he took it home, and because he couldn't get a chance to use it. Devin, just his defense, his athleticism, and everything about him. They know what's going on. They know what's going on.
Because I don't know. I think I heard his dad or Teo say that they beat up Devin in sparring, or so on and so forth. But
well, you saw what Devin said when they got together. When them two got together on Barbershop. You know what I mean? Right. So they talked about it in person. So we ain't got to talk about what the dads, like I say, what the dads say. You can just go on Fred and listen to what they said when they met up with each other.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you pretty much saying Devin doesn't even know how hard Teo hit because he didn't even get to use it.
Yeah, that's right. That part.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, so there is a way for you guys could actually start negotiating with Teo team and Bob Arum before even the Gamboa fight. Like starting from today, you guys could start negotiating.
I wouldn't dare disrespect Gamboa. Them, I wouldn't attempt to do that. You know what I mean? We got to deal with Gamboa. This is the fight that we got up. Shit, he's a hell of a motherfucking competitor. He ain't nothing to just push over or just be saying, oh, well, I'm going to go talk to somebody else about another fight, I'm not even going to play like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now,
we got 19 days away, though. 19 going on 18 days away.
Yep, it's going to be a hell of a night. Now, shout out to everybody in the super chat. Appreciate it. Now, for the people that say Devin is not ready, some trolls, they keep saying that, Devin is not ready. He does not have enough experience for Lopez, even though he's a world champion. To them people, you say what?
Nobody can get in the seat then. The seat that Devin is sitting in, you got the people that's really good, they got to come get him out the seat. So you got to fight him. So whoever you saying is good, got to fight to get in that seat.
Yeah, and if Teo wants to
dispute it, that's the thing about Gamboa. See, Gamboa can challenge Dev, right? We can't challenge the franchise, and any belt that's Brian is going to win the interim belt. The champion can't challenge the interim. The interim has to challenge him. Just like when Gary Russell said, "You're the champion. I'm challenging you. You let me know." So. Teo has a belt. Teo has a belt that, like I said, you can't challenge the belt. And what is his name? Tank Davis has the WBA. He has the WBA belt. He has the WBA mandatory belt. So he's in line to challenge him for that. The IBO, there's a mandatory on that side. And then there's an IBF mandatory.
Now, can you explain to the fans?
Champions.
Yeah, can you explain to to the fans what you just said right there, as far as Teo could challenge Devin, but Devin can't challenge Teo for his title because obviously Teo only have the French fries
Yeah,
title.
yeah. So it's
French,
not like a Dev can't challenge. You can't challenge an interim champion because the interim champion might not be ready. You can't challenge the silver champion. You can't challenge. You're the world champion. So you already supposed to be ready. You can't go back and start challenging them. They got to challenge you.
right. So according to the rules, that I mean, obviously the WBC title that Devin Haney has is the real title. So Devin is not gonna, he can't challenge Teo for a secondary title, for a
Yes,
title,
exactly.
the longest title is what you're saying.
Yeah,
So just
exactly.
to make it clear, even the WBC came out and clarified that the real title is the one that Devin Haney have. The French fries title is a witness protection belt that Lomachenko requested in order to avoid Devin Haney. And then obviously Lopez requested that same title if he beats Lomachenko, and they accepted his request. But in order for Teo to be undisputed, he has to actually fight Devin Haney. In order to complete the missing pieces of the puzzle, he has to see Devin Haney. And I truly believe the fight is going to happen, though, because Teo, his energy that he's coming with, he seemed like he want to fight the best. And so what's your take on that? You think that we the fans is not gonna they're not gonna miss out on a great fight for undisputed?
Oh, I'm very confident that Tio and his dad and senior, you know what I mean, that they're warriors, that they're not they're not no Mickey Mouse group over there, If the thing is right and the time is right, um, I'm sure that we're gonna be able to make something happen.
Now,
We've been ready though. See, the thing about it is that they've been telling us down the road. They told us at the WBC tournament down the road. I think Senior has said at 140. Um, Now Devin and Tio are talking. Bob said it's up to the fighters. So Devin is ready. He's 100% committed to fighting everybody in the division. And I back him. So that's what you have.
now where will the fight happen? Is the zone gonna do joint promotion with ESPN for this fight, or would
Um,
you with Devin
We
Haney
don't
go
we
to
don't know. We don't know.
ESPN?
We haven't gotten that far. Obviously, that will come with negotiation, and first and foremost is Yorkius Gamboa and handling the business there, and then the actual you know I guess nuts and bolts and all that stuff will kind of be worked out amongst the two teams. I'm not privileged to say how it's going to go or not go, or you know say what will or won't happen. I'm just happy to say that they're talking, and Bob, from all intent purposes, on Barbershop Conversations, said that it's a fight that he would like, and it's just a matter of making things happen. So I'm very optimistic about it right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Tio is a real champion. Like I said, he ain't Lomachenko or Nomachenko. So, I truly believe the fight is gonna happen. Now, on the other hand, are you guys still willing to fight a Lomachenko, even if he lost to Tio or down the line somewhere, or in the near future, or even next if the Tio fight can't happen, if Lomachenko is willing to fight Devin? Would you guys still entertain a Lomachenko fight down the line?
I don't know who Lomachenko is.
Oh
Like he
yeah.
didn't know who we were. We don't know who he is, man. I don't want to even entertain Lomachenko. I'm right now. We're focused on Gamboa. I mean, Lomachenko. He doesn't have anything for us to win.
Right, right.
What does he have?
Yes, sir. So, at the end of the day, Devin Haney, he gonna be fighting on November 7th. We looking forward
Yep.
for that fight. And
Yep.
after that, hopefully the fans get the treat we all been waiting for. One face, one name in the sport for the undisputed title. Tio won it. Tio said if Devin Haney won it, he could get it. Devin Haney been said I won it from the jump. He wanted it 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So that's the fight the world want to see. Hopefully that fight gets made next. And as far as you could confirm on your end, you guys willing to do everything in your power to get this fight done.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As soon as you'll hear it. You'll hear it. Watch on November the 7th. You watch on November the 7th on DAZN. Devin Haney versus Yorkis Gamboa. You're going to see what he going to do, and you're going to see what he going to say after. You're going to see who he going to look for, who he calling for, and everything. November the 7th on DAZN.
Mark that on your calendar. Appreciate it, Bill, for always pulling up. And it's always a pleasure talking with you. Anything
Hey,
you
thank
want?
you, my brother. Are we still undefeated?
Yes, sir. The truth is undefeated. So you already know we undefeated.
Okay, it's three things that's gonna happen. It's three things that's gonna happen. The sun gonna come out, the moon gonna come out, and the truth.
The truth,
You
yes,
did?
sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
right, brother. All right,
And
all right,
the
man.
truth is always gonna come out on split decision. Yes, sir.
Amen. Amen. Blessings on top of blessings to you, brother. You know what I mean? And everybody that's listening, man, stay strong until we talk again, man.
All right. Thank you, Bill.
Peace.
Pleasure talking with you. Peace.
All right, brother.
That's the real deal, Bill. So we answered, I think pretty much we answered every single question. Now I heard some trolls. That's why I asked Bill that question as far as, is Devin Haney ready? Does he have enough experience? Now, you guys got to remember, that sounds like an excuse you guys making. Teo called out Devin Haney because Teo heard the notion of, oh, I'm avoiding Devin. Okay, well, let me get Devin. Because Teo is a real champion, right? So now you guys can't use, oh, he don't have enough experience. Why you guys making excuses? Well, did Teo have that much experience when he went up against Lomachenko? Absolutely no. Lomachenko had experience on his side, and we saw what happened. We saw Teo. He used his skills to pay the bills because it ain't about experience at the end of the day, right? Now the same thing applies to Devin and Teo. There's the experience gap is not that much far off. Teo's 23, Devin is 21. Teo turned pro, I believe, 18. So on, I think he's been a pro for 4 years, so probably 19. Devin Haney turned pro when he was 17. So they have the same pro experience. Matter of fact, Devin even got more fights. Now, for the people that keep complaining about Devin Haney's resume, well, guess what? You only could fight who they put in front of you and who's willing to sign on them dotted lines. Devin Haney tried to fight Fortuna. He tried to fight Ryan. He tried to fight Linares. He tried to fight all of these guys that's fighting for position like Luke Campbell. So Luke Campbell's fighting Ryan Garcia in order to face Devin Haney and become his mandatory. What sense does that make when they could fight him right away? Fortuna's fighting Linares when Fortuna could have fought Devin Haney right away. But he declined the fight, just like every other name I just mentioned, in order to eliminate each other, in order to become Devin Haney mandatory. We know what time it is. They delaying they delaying destiny. Pretty much that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So nobody really could criticize Devin Haney for his opponent selection because he was trying to fight Gary Russell. We already know what happened with that. He was trying to fight every name at the lightweight division. Now Teo is willing to step up to the table because he's a true champion, defeating the hype job Lomachenko, who was a good fighter, a top 5 pound for pound fighter. You could even say top 3, but he definitely was in top 1, and he made it look easy. So, we'll see. If Devin Haney versus Teo is next, that'd be a hell of a fight. That would be a treat for the fans. And I truly believe Devin would have did Lomachenko the same way. That's why he changed his name to Lomachenko, because he knew what he was about. And like Bill pointed out, Teo and Devin Haney agreed when they met with each other that Lomachenko is easy work. So far, Teo proved that to be true. Taco TV. Well, guess what? Gary Russell called out Devin Haney. So Gary Russell is 30 years old. He's in his prime. He called out Devin Haney. Devin Haney didn't call out Gary Russell, right? Devin Haney simply answered the call. Just like Errol Spence answered the call when Mikey Garcia raised his hand. So you only could fight, like I said again, whoever is available. So you guys can't, I mean, either way you go about it, you can't go against the truth. The truth is Devin Haney is the A-class boogeyman. He could fight AKHi next, and he's still going to get credit because nobody willing to fight him. I challenge any of you decafs to name me one fighter that was willing to fight Devin Haney instead of Gamboa. One fighter. Now, let's get to the real business at hand, you know, because I really wanted to cook on this.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Any of you guys name anybody? See, that's what I'm talking about. Devin Haney, the boogeyman. A-class boogeyman. That's the A-class status. It's a B-class status boogeyman, which means you the most avoided in your division. Devin Haney is the most avoided in boxing, period. Anyways, moving on. So Paulie Malignaggi, not too long ago, he came out and stated that European fighters are the most dominant fighters and the best in the game right now. The black murderous row fighters' time is up. He was talking like he was related to Larry, right? And let's peep the scoreboard. Let's see who's been winning. Since Paulie Malignaggi is saying that the European fighters, these Ukraine fighters, they the most dominant in the game right now. Pretty much the black murderers row time is up. The coincidentalist fighters time is up. The Jack Johnsons of the world, the Sugar Ray Robinsons, the Muhammad Ali, the Sugar Ray Leonard, the Roy Jones, the Floyd Mayweather, the Sweet Pea, them type of fighters of the world, their time is up because now them versions, the fighters of today, such as Errol Spence Crawford, he felt like they not that special, right? But let's see who's still undefeated in the game. Last time I checked, Devin Haney's still undefeated. Last time I checked, Shakur's still undefeated. Last time I checked, Errol Spence still undefeated. Last time I checked, Errol Spence still undefeated. And the list goes on and on and on. But supposedly, Paulie Malignaggi want to claim these European fighters are the most dominant in the game. Who? Lomachenko? Who got beat up by Salido and Natio? Who? Devyachenko? Who Charlo beat with ease? You talking about Gennady Golovkin? That Canelo beat? That Devyachenko beat? We're going to talk about every single name. So let's check the scoreboard. Like I said, let's see what Paulie Malignaggi is talking about, because the truth is always going to come out. And the most dangerous weapon in the world, like my man Dante always say, is a microphone and a camera. It's the worstest weapon in the world, because if you're not consistent, if you don't tell the truth, you're going to end up contradicting yourself. And that's what happened to Paulie, because he's speaking emotionally, not logically, not factually. AKHi speak factually. AKHi undefeated because the truth is undefeated. So let's talk about it. Now, let's start off with, let's not go back too far back, you know what I mean? Because we don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Let's talk about right now, because if we go back too far, there's no mercy. However, let's talk about recently. For example, Andre Ward. Andre Ward cleaned out the Super Six when he was in favor to. Now, mind you, the Super Six was full of European fighters. Frouch, Kessler, and the list goes on. And Andre Ward didn't beat him. He didn't just beat them guys. He dominated them guys. He made them look like nobodies. Andre Ward was looking like Roy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all must have forgot, because Andre Ward washed them fighters. It ain't like they were nobodies. Andre Ward made them look like nobodies. He made Frost look like nobody. He made Kessler look like nobody, right? They were all European. Then, of course, Gennady Golovkin came along. What happened to Gennady Golovkin? He got exposed against Daniel Jacob. He got exposed against Canelo Alvarez. He got beat up by Deryachenko. So, okay, Deryachenko came on the scene. All right, let's see what happened with Deryachenko. Charlo beat him with ease. He made it look easy. I mean, he beat Deryachenko in the inside. He was going toe-to-toe with Deryachenko. Unlike Gennady Golovkin, drama show, Mexican style, and then he went Muhammad Ali style on him and still got his ass beat. We talking about Charlo, the man that went toe-to-toe with Deryachenko and beat him at his own game, was very composed, made him look like a nobody. When Deryachenko just beat up Gennady Golovkin worse than Canelo did. Let's keep going. Who else we got? I mean, you guys can, oh yeah, Lomachenko. We just saw what Lopez did to him, so-called the pound-for-pound king, right? We just saw Teo made him, I mean, the man known as the Matrix, he known for his angles, and he didn't even take one angle. He didn't throw one single punch or landed a single punch in the first round. Do you guys know Lomachenko landed 7 power punches the first 6 rounds? 7 for 6 rounds. So he was landing a power punch equivalence of a power punch each round. Now let that sink in. Now they want to call Rigondeaux born. What is that by Lomachenko? I ain't hear nobody call him born. I did not hear nobody call him born. But we're going to talk about it. We definitely going to cook him up. Definitely going to cook him up. So like I said, you know, so who is Paulie Malignaggi talking about? Because last time I checked, the fighters on the coincidental list were dominating the game from the Jack Johnson days, and they still dominating it
To this day. To this day. To this day. Bomb Squad!
And not to forget, or not to mention, we got to mention this because they overhyped Gennady Golovkin as pound for pound number 1, and we already know he got exposed. They gave him the pound for pound number 1 status before he proved anything. It's just like they did with Lomachenko. They did it to Chocolate Tito, and the same thing happened to him. As soon as he moved up in weight, boom, he lost. He got knocked out, matter of fact. And then moving on, I remember Kovalev, when Andre Ward was trying to fight Gennady Golovkin, they were like, oh, no. Even though Gennady Golovkin was calling out Floyd Mayweather at 154, and Floyd Mayweather already moved up 5 weight divisions. He was old, but Gennady Golovkin didn't want to move up 4 pounds to fight Andre Ward when Andre Ward agreed to fight him at 164. Even Roy Jones called out Gennady Golovkin on that. My point is, you got Andre Ward. Without a question, at the time, he was pound for pound number 2. He would have been pound for pound number 1, but he never became pound for pound number 1 till Floyd Mayweather retired, because I won't say he was under Floyd Mayweather's shadow, but he couldn't get to that pound for pound number 1 status because of Floyd. Because Floyd was just, I mean, you're talking about TBE, arguably. You know what I mean? So Andre Ward was so great that he wanted gold medal. Haven't lost a fight since 12 years old. The man got a broken shoulder, and he's still undefeated and haven't lost
To this day.
We talking about this guy. And Gennady Golovkin, he went from Triple G to Little G. That's why Andre called him out. He said, you Little G, man. You ain't Triple G because I'm calling you out and you want to fight Lemieux. Lemieux. That's right. Now, moving forward, they told him, oh, Andre Ward. HBO told Andre Ward, listen, man. You ain't going to beat the guy we've been marketing as the next Pacquiao, so on and so forth. But Max Kellerman was like, oh, he's the hardcore, he's the hardcore boxers, the hardcore fans' favorite fighter, according to Max. I mean, I don't know where he came up with that. How are you going to speak for people when you don't know what people think, right? Now, he claimed that Gennady Golovkin was the hardcore fans' favorite fighter. He was claiming he was pound for pound. He was claiming that they put him, I don't got to tell you this, they put him on a list the best 25 fighters of the past 25 years, they put Gennady Golovkin on that list when he haven't proven anything at the time. He was avoiding Lara. He was avoiding Andre Ward. He avoided Charlo. I mean, the list goes on and on. Andre, and they put him on that list. Anyways, so they told Andre Ward, go ahead and move up and fight Kovalev. And what did Andre Ward do? He moved up and fought Kovalev and beat Kovalev. They said, oh, that was a close decision. Guess what? It was like, okay, bring that ass again. I'll test that ass one more time. And he knocked him out a second time when they hyped up Kovalev as pound for pound number 1 or 2 at the time. And Teddy Atlas had the audacity to tell Andre Ward, after knocking out Kovalev, who was a pound for pound number 2 at the time, they were hyping up Kovalev just like, not as much as they hyped up Lomachenko, but on that level. We already know what his resume was like. And credit to Kovalev, he was fighting everybody. Kovalev, truth be told, he didn't avoid nobody. And Ward knocked out Kovalev. Teddy Atlas told both Andre Ward and Terence Crawford after he became undisputed, Lomachenko, who's 8-1, is the pound for pound number 1. And they looked at him like he was crazy. And he stated he justified it by saying, according to the eye test. What eye test? What eye test you guys talking about? The eye test, the matrix that look ordinary against Teo as soon as he fought a good fighter. And keep in mind, Teo is not like Teo is in his prime. Teo, I mean, he is in his prime. He's 23 years old, but he only had 15 fights. He only have 1 belt. He haven't defended his title not even once. This was actually his first title defense. Teddy Atlas told Andre Ward and Terence Crawford at the time, Lomachenko, who was 8-1 at the time, who avoided the Salido rematch, he was talking about that Lomachenko, who just got beat up by Salido not too long ago, is better than Andre Ward and Terence Crawford. Andre Ward, who cleared out the Super 6, so on and so forth. And then Paulie over here telling us European fighters are the most dominant fighters in the game. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like I said, talk about double standards in the sport and what fighters on the Coincidental deal with. This is a perfect example. This is a perfect example. Now, we obviously know ESPN, somebody have to be held responsible for this. Now, I don't know who's supposed to be held responsible, but somebody has to be. Somebody on the higher up need to get in control of things, and things are on order. First of all, we already know that they show biasness toward Lomachenko. They erased his loss on more than one occasion. And like usually when they make a mistake, the next day they will acknowledge the mistake and make the correction. However, when it came to erasing Lomachenko losses, they did it on purpose, because the next day, after they got bashed for doing so, what they did, they removed the loss and made it a draw instead. So they pretty much telling us, we don't care what y'all think. We're just trying to fool as much casual fans as we can. And they proved it when Loma fought Teo, because Testator, this is the main person, Testator, you could clearly see his bias agenda. Because truth be told, Teo actually schooled Testator. While Testator is telling the public that Floyd Mayweather is this cherry picker, this business, Teo paid homage and gave credit where credit is due and stated, everybody want to be like Money May, but nobody want to be like Pretty Boy and go through that stage, right? Now, we already know Testator is biased toward Lomachenko. You could clearly see it with his voice, with him cheering every time Lomachenko does absolutely nothing. He out here screaming, raising his voice whenever Teo is having any form. I mean, when Teo is having success, he'd rather talk about Lomachenko dancing school and him going to the Ukraine to learn dancing. Bro, Y'all told the story a million times. We could care less. You're a blow-by-blow announcer. You need to call out the blows that's being landed on each other. Blow-by-blow announcers back in the days, those type of commentators, you would never know who they rooting for. But when it came to Testator, you could clearly see he's being pretty much a cheerleader for Lomachenko instead of being a blow-by-blow for the fight. Now, let me point out the multiple lies Testator told on national TV, on ESPN, fooling a lot of the casual fans that don't know any better. Now, first of all, he labeled this fight as for undisputed. He said Loma versus Teo is for undisputed, which is a complete lie. As ESPN put out their list, and they had Devin Haney as the WBC champion. This is on ESPN website. They had Teo as the WBA, WBO, and the IBF champion, but they had Devin Haney as the WBC champion. So that's a huge contradiction and false advertisement, because fight night, they screamed throughout their lungs that, or at least Testator did, that Loma versus Teo was for undisputed. And right after the fight, as soon as Teo wins the straps, they put out their list and they have Devin Haney as the WBC champion. And in other words, Teo is not the undisputed champion. Teo could be the undisputed champion if he fights Devin Haney. He has to fight Devin Haney in order to complete the missing piece of the puzzle. You know what I'm saying? That's lie number one. Lie number two, he lied on Clarissa Shield. He said that Lomachenko is the fastest three-time world champion in the sport of boxing. Now, earlier before that, I think he mentioned Clarissa Shields' name somewhere, but he did it in a slick way where he mentioned Clarissa Shield and he also mentioned Lomachenko, and he said they both the fastest three-time world champion. No. We're not gonna do that. You're gonna name the fastest three world champion. If somebody beat the record, you're not gonna talk about the one closest to the record and the one that has the record. No, that's not how it's supposed to be done. Plus, on more than one occasion, he said Lomachenko is the fastest three world champion without mentioning Clarissa Shield either. So the fact that he lied on Clarissa Shield's behalf, claiming that Lomachenko is the fastest three world champion, when he knows, I mean, you got to remember, it's one thing if you're not informed. It's another when you are informed and you choose to lie to the public. You know the truth, but you choose to lie to the public. And that's what Testator did, and he has to be held accountable for that. Because he knew this was not for undisputed. He still lied. He knew Lomachenko was not the fastest three-time world champion in three different divisions. He still lied. And of course, last but not least, he stated that he's the pound-for-pound king. Now, in the same breath, he said, well, some people disagree on the roster. Hold on. If I'm going to label somebody as a pound-for-pound king, do you know what a king means? This is not up for debate. If I'm a king of a country, do you think somebody going to be like, oh, well, he's not really the only king. There's other kings too, man. It's right now we don't know who the king is. We trying to still decide who's gonna run the country. No, when you say somebody's king, it's only one person. For example, I could say Roy Jones was the king when he was fighting because Roy Jones dominated everybody. When Floyd Mayweather was still in his prime early on in his career, Prince Nassim Hamed was around. I mean, the list goes on and on from prime Oscar, prime Sugar Shane, from prime Barrera, Morales, Marquez, and the list goes on and on from all these legends, from Hopkins to Winky Wright to, Mike Tyson, even Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, all these great fighters. And the pound-for-pound king at that time was Roy Jones. It was no if, what, or but about it, right? That's what you label as a king. Now, Floyd Mayweather fought, he became the pound for pound king. You could say he the pound for pound king. When Muhammad Ali fought, you could say he the pound for pound king. When Sugar Ray Robinson fought, you could say he the pound for pound king. But when Lomachenko fights, you can't say he the pound for pound king. Because according to Testator himself, we don't even got to go by what the public think. Testator said, well, on the roster, not everybody agrees. On ESPN, not everybody agrees. So he ain't the king. How is you the king when not everybody agrees, when it's a 50-50 pick? You got to prove that you're the king. And how you going to label Lomachenko as the pound for pound king before he even fights and beats Teo? Now, it's one thing if he waited and was like, you know what? Let me see if he's going to beat Teo. And after that, I'm going to label him as the king. That's my opportunity. Oh, man, I can't wait. And then he chooses, after Lomachenko wins in a dominant, impressive fashion over Teo, label him as king. I understand where he's coming from. Then it will be justifiable. However, to label Lomachenko as a pound for pound king before he even prove it in the ring, when he has an opponent in front of him, Teo, it backfired right on his face because that pound for pound king got exposed. And that's why he was not doing his job, calling out the fight blow by blow. He was not doing his job, right? And there's more other lies, that he pretty much gave out, but I'm just focusing on the main three. And also, oh no, that the main one to talk about is Floyd Mayweather. Now, during the fight, Testator responded to a war comment of fighters not fighting each other because they have too much to lose. Testator said, credit to both of these fighters who fight. Hold on. Yeah, so war comment, Testator responded to war comment of fighters not fighting each other because they have too much to lose. Testator said, credit to both of these fighters who fighting each other, unlike Floyd Mayweather era, when it was about managing the business of boxing, then about the boxing of boxing, whatever that means. Now, mind you, Andre Ward was talking about fighters like Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin, who's cherry picking. I mean, not fighting who they need to fight. Like Gennady Golovkin avoided Charlo, Andre Ward, Andrade. I mean, the list goes on and on. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez beat Gennady Golovkin and started doing the same thing. He avoided Charlo, gave up his belt, surrendered his belt, waved the white flag, right? And gave up his belt in order to request the witness protection belt, a French fries belt. Canelo Alvarez also been avoiding Andre to this day. So, just to put things in perspective, Andre Ward was talking about those fighters. And Testator made it about Floyd. So let's see what Testator is talking about. Let's talk factuals. Let's talk factually, not emotionally, which is Floyd Mayweather around 23, 24. His first world title, that's around, I think he was 21 years old. He fought Hernandez at 130 pounds. Now, Hernandez, for the people that don't know, was not just the best 130 pounder at the time. He was arguably the best 130 pounder of all time. And Floyd Mayweather didn't just beat him. He stopped him and he retired him. May he rest in peace. Floyd Mayweather don't talk about Hernandez much because out of respect, he don't talk about fighters that passed away. So may he rest in peace. But just to point out, Floyd Mayweather dominated him when he was the number one in his division and arguably the number one of all time. That's how they were hyping him out to be, right? Now, right after that, he knocked out Angel Manfredi. He, with no question, it was his mandatory. Come over here, I'll test that ass too. That's what Floyd Mayweather did. He didn't do what Canelo did, request the French fries belt. He fought Carlos Rios, 44-1-2 at the time. And then he knocked out Corrales. Now, for the people that don't know, Floyd Mayweather was actually the underdog going to the Corrales fight. Mind you, Floyd Mayweather, he was looking so spectacular that according to the eye test, everybody was like, man, this is the next Sugar Ray. But can he prove it? So, mind you, people think Floyd Mayweather was the next Sugar Ray Leonard, and they picked Corrales to beat Floyd and knock him out because Corrales had an iron chin. He had crazy power. He was so much bigger than Floyd. He was a pound-for-pound fighter, and Floyd Mayweather was the underdog. And Floyd Mayweather didn't just beat or outbox Corrales. He stopped and knocked out a granite chin, proven champion, undefeated, with ease, in a spectacular fashion. Arguably, Floyd Mayweather's best performance to this day. These the type of names Floyd Mayweather fought when he was known as Pretty Boy, the same age as Teofimo Lopez, right? So if he was talking about Teofimo Lopez's age, look at Floyd Mayweather, what he was doing at the time. If he's talking about Lomachenko age, we could go there too. Floyd Mayweather at 32, he fought Sugar Shane Mosley after he knocked out Margarito. And we already know how hyped up Margarito was at the time, and Sugar Shane knocked out Margarito. Floyd Mayweather fought him right after that. But let's look at because Lomachenko, when he fought Lopez, that was Lomachenko version of Canelo Alvarez when Floyd Mayweather fought Canelo, because ironically, Lopez and Canelo was the same age, and we already know what time it is. Floyd Mayweather was not just 32 years old like Lomachenko. Floyd Mayweather wasn't 32 years old. He was 36, about to be 37, and he fought Canelo Alvarez moving up a division in his 5th weight division, not his 3rd weight division like Lomachenko. So he had to go against way more disadvantages. I mean, name me any fighter in history at 36, 37, moved up to his 5th weight division in order to fight a unified champion that's #1 at that division. Nobody. So Floyd Mayweather did that and became victorious. I mean, some fighters did it, but I'm talking about they actually pulled off the victory in such a dominant fashion. So Floyd Mayweather actually fought Canelo Alvarez, who had more experience than Lopez, who he was a pro for 8 years. Lopez was only a pro for 4 years, who had around 50 fights. Lopez had only 15 fights, and Floyd Mayweather spanked him every single minute of every single round. So what is Testator talking about? Because right after that, he fought Maidana twice, beat him, and then he fought Manny Pacquiao. And you can't criticize Floyd Mayweather for not fighting Pacquiao in his prime, because Pacquiao turned down the fight because of a drug test. So he either was on something or he was just ducking Floyd. You pick and choose which one you want to give him the pass for. But the point is, it was Pacquiao that avoided Floyd Mayweather in his prime. It was Pacquiao who turned down a $50 million guarantee with a 50-50 split on pay-per-view, all because of a drug test, and that's a fact. And facts is over emotion. So what is Testator talking about? Now, I don't know what is more surprising to me is that Testator lied on Carissa Shield's behalf, lied on Floyd Mayweather. He was not calling out the punches, lied on the Undisputed title. He also lied on the Undisputed version when it was a unification, right? I don't know which is more surprising, Testator lying to that extent or Andre Ward not responding to Testator. Because mind you, Teo had to respond to Testator. How ironic is that? Because Teo, after the fight, he said that all of these fighters want to make money and have the big legacy fights or the big money fights like Floyd Money Mayweather did, but nobody want to be the pretty boy version of Floyd, in which he fought everybody and had to prove himself. If you guys don't believe me, just put pretty boy calling out fighters. You'll see him calling out Sugar Shane Mosley in his prime, Prince Nassim Hamid. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Oscar de la Hoya. So that version of Floyd was the Devin Haney of today. He was the Iron Mike of back in the day. He was the Riggin Diao version of the A Boogeyman, of the Errol Spence version, when he has even his mandatory shook where they don't want to face him. That's the pretty boy we talking about. And Andre Ward knows this. That's why I was a little disappointed with Andre Ward, because, you know, at the end of the day, or at least the night, I hold Andre Ward to a higher regard, where, you know, I believe he should have said something in that position, because, mind you, He could have easily responded by just pointing out the facts. Like, what are you talking about, testator? Because Floyd fought Corrales at 24. Floyd fought Hernandez at 21. Floyd fought Canelo at 36. Floyd fought Pacquiao at 37. When he had disadvantages on his side. You know what I'm saying? So testator had no leg to stand on, and it shouldn't have taken a Teofimo Lopez, and shout out to Teo for telling the truth and putting it on the table, because see, a lot of fighters, they pretty much want to feed into the decafs, and they want to pretty much they want to be on the decaf's good side, where they want to say things to the public, like Oscar Valdez, for example, so the decafs could love them. They believe the trolls, and they want to be like, they want to feed into the trolls. But credit to Teo, he told the truth, and the truth is not popular. Like Floyd Mayweather said, his favorite quote: "You could hate me. I'd rather be hated for telling the truth than be I'd rather be hated for telling the truth than loved for telling a lie." And that's what Teo, that's how he operated at that moment. He told the truth, even though it's not popular, right? Especially coming from a Latino. Now, it shouldn't took Teo to say it, though, is what I'm saying. Andre Ward should have said it, because truth be told, he said it in the past on Joe Rogan podcast. He said it himself. Andre Ward said everybody want to be Money Mayweather and make the type of money Floyd Mayweather made, but nobody want to be pretty boy. Nobody want to go through that pretty boy stage to get to that level. That's all he had to respond with when it cut to testator. All he had to say is, "Well, testator, have you forgotten about pretty boy? He was not making any business decisions." And even Money Mayweather, he fought the best. He fought the likes of Pacquiao. He fought the likes of Canelo. He fought the likes of Shane Mosley. So what fighter you think Floyd Mayweather avoided? He could have just, questioned testator. That way, he would have put testator, he would have checked testator and put him in his, he would have put testator in the spot. Because now testator, every time he says something ridiculous or tells a lie to the public, he knows he could get checked by Andre Ward or maybe possibly Timothy Bradley. Now, we already know there's a higher percentage that it will be Andre Ward that will do such a thing. So that's why I was expecting Andre Ward to come out and say something. I was extremely surprised that he didn't. You know what I'm saying? But he really has to call out testator for the BS that he be putting out to the public. You know what I'm saying? And we all hold Andre Ward to a higher regard than that, because remember, Andre Ward, he was a beautiful fighter in the ring, and he's even more of a beautiful person outside of the ring. So it's all love when it comes to Andre Ward, because he's a perfect role model. He's one of my favorite fighters, and he still is. You know what I'm saying? That's a fighter I always study. And I encourage all the upcoming fighters to actually study Andre Ward. And a lot of people look up to Andre Ward, in which, he, in that position, he the only one that is going to stand up and tell the truth and put testator in his place by checking him. He the only one. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate everybody in the chat. You already know what time it is. Yeah, you guys need to school the decafs in the comment section. Like I said before, Andre Ward, he lit testator for the public, making the fight seem closer than what it actually was by not pointing out Teo scoring blows when that's his job. He's a blow-by-blow announcer. Like I said, from the jump, from the start of the fight, testator kept praising Lomachenko and talking, I call it deflection tactics. When Teo is doing tremendous and he looking good, he will talk about things that's irrelevant, like, oh yeah, at the end of the day, Lomachenko, you know, he went to dancing school to have the best footwork in the world, and now he has the best footwork in the world. And meanwhile, he getting smacked all around the ring. He getting hit to the body, getting hit to the head. I mean, he's stuck in the mud. He's not showing us any angles. We're not seeing none of this, you know, dancing in the ring. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what are you talking about? You're talking about things that's irrelevant when you need to be doing your job, calling the blows by blow. If you're a blow by blow announcer, you need to call every single shot. And Tio will land punches, and Testator would not mention anything. And it took Timothy Bradley. Shout out to Timothy Bradley for standing up and saying something, man. Because Lomachenko will do absolutely nada. He will do absolutely nothing. And Testator will make it seem like Lomachenko did, you know, he scored knockout blows on Tio, when Tio actually countered Lomachenko in the process. And even Timothy Bradley on more than one occasion had to point that out. Like, did you see Tio left hook though? And Testator wouldn't even acknowledge it. He would be like, yeah, that's what he needs to throw is a left hook, because, and he tried to explain in a science level when it comes to the sport of boxing, like, just do your job. Call the blow by blow. I mean, it was so crazy because Testator was trying to justify his favorite fighter. I know he's heartbroken, but his favorite fighter not throwing punches, or, you know, by saying, oh, that's what Lomachenko do. He calculate his opponent. He study his opponent. That was his way to justify Lomachenko not doing nothing for the first 7 rounds, right? Now, mind you, because Andre Ward shocked me, even he surprised me, because like I said, at the end of the day, you guys have to remember, you get influenced when you're sitting on that table. Andre Ward start believing what Testator is saying. And he was like, yeah, he's normally a slow starter. And that's when Timothy Bradley stepped in and was like, man, it's the freaking 6th round. That's half of the fight. You gave up half of the fight trying to study somebody, man. You study somebody for 1 or 2 rounds. So that's what Lomachenko usually does. He studies his opponent for 1 or 2 rounds. In the 2nd round, during the later half, he will turn it up. But it was like the 7th round, and he's still studying his opponent. And that Testator, he's trying to fool the public, telling them that, yeah, Lomachenko, he's still studying, he's still doing this, he's still doing that. Well, guess what? This ain't a university where you go to study in order to graduate. You over here, you better look for the win. You better look to score. So, like I said before, Lomachenko, he landed 7 power punches for the first 6 rounds. I kid you not, 7 power punches. Now, you do the math. That's pretty much a power punch every single round. And they were trying to tell us that Lomachenko is still trying to study Tio when he was just pretty much nervous, fighting with nervous energy, and he didn't find his flow or his rhythm. Tio had him in control, and he was pretty much schooling him all night. You know what I'm saying? And it took 8 rounds for actually Lomachenko to do something. Now, mind you, as a great fighter like Andre Ward, when he fought Kovalev, he got dropped in the 2nd round. Guess what he did? He got himself off the floor and beat and won the 3rd round and applied pressure on the Kovalev, who was bigger than him, stronger than him, hit harder than him. He was applying pressure from round 3. He wasted no time, right? And Lomachenko, it took him 8 rounds to start throwing punches. So Testator told Andre Ward that in the 7th round, Lomachenko won the 2nd half. Why? Because he threw 4 punches. The difference between the 6th round and the 7th round, in the 6th round, Lomachenko, he landed 1 power punch or 2 power punch. I think it was 1. In the 7th round, Lomachenko landed 4 power punches. So just because your punches count went 3 punches, it went up 3 punches, that don't mean you won the round. You still got to look at what Tio did. Yes, Lomachenko did better than his previous rounds, but he did not do better than what Tio did in the 7th round. That's why I gave the first 7 rounds to Tio with ease. If you go back and watch the fight, at first I thought the 7th round was a little more closer, but when I went back and watched it, I was like, wow, this man Testator, he's a cancer in the sport. He's a virus in the sport, because he he will fool your eyes, because when you hear a bunch of lies, you start believing it. He will hype up anything Lomachenko did. I kid you not. He starts screaming. I mean, now he want to be a real blow-by-blow announcer. Whenever Lomachenko does something, Lomachenko could miss, and he will still call it out. And when Teo lands, he will ignore it and talk about irrelevant things that don't matter. I kid you not. And Andre Ward allowed Testator to do that all night. And we expect more from Andre Ward because we hold him to a higher regard. I understand what he's dealing with, influence of others. Decav's wizards, the ultimate decav wizard. Testator. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot to deal with, guys. That's why Andre Ward, he didn't score the fight the right way, because he's influenced by a decav wizard that's in his ear, highlighting, saying a bunch of lies. But that's when Andre Ward actually should have stepped up and called him out. And I think Andre Ward should really do that next time. It's time to step up, baby, because you can't. I mean, Andre Ward is the one with the resume. Andre Ward is the one we respect. Andre Ward is the one that's a fighter. He a gold medalist, the last gold medalist that the United States ever had. I mean, not ever had, but the last gold medalist the United States had. They robbed my man Shakur. They robbed my man Floyd. But Andre Ward is the last one that actually won the medal, right? He went undefeated. He fought the best, never dodged any opponent, always spoke when it comes to public issues. Therefore, Andre Ward really have to speak the truth and just call out Testator respectfully. He don't got to be disrespectful. Just call out the facts. You know what I'm saying? And I really think Andre Ward should do that next time, because this was getting ridiculous, man. It was really annoying to watch, you know, talking about dancing school instead of doing your job, calling out the blow by blow. You know, it's crazy though. It took Teofimo Lopez to tell Testator to put respect on Floyd Mayweather's name. I never thought I'd see the day. Man, it should have been Timothy Bradley that did that, or I mean, at least Andre Ward, man. Because Ward have to know he's in a very powerful position. Don't create a monster, Ward. Don't create a monster, because he will do the same thing to Shakur that HBO did to you. Remember when when Andre Ward fought, it will talk about the entertainment factor. It will talk about anything but the damn fight. They will ignore Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin fight for Ward and push him to fight Kovalev, right? The HBO did this to Rigondeaux. HBO, man, they were calling Rigondeaux boring, this and that, instead of calling out the blow by blow, breaking down the fight, talking about Rigondeaux dancing skills like Lomachenko. They ain't talk about it. But Testator, I didn't hear nobody, or not just Testator, the decav wizard, or the decavs themselves. I didn't hear nobody call Lomachenko boring. And Ward have to know these things, because they will do it to Shakur. I know Andre Ward is not going to be there to call the Shakur fight because it's a conflict of interest. He his manager, right? So leaving Testator for Shakur, good luck with that, man. You know, HBO were hyping up Gennady Golovkin, got exposed. Chocolatito got exposed. Kovalev got exposed by Andre Ward himself. And now Lomachenko, ESPN picked it up. And now he got exposed. So who is next is the $1 million question. But, you know, I remember the day Timothy Bradley, you know, that's why, like I said, you guys got to remember guys like Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley. I used to be a little bit harsh and critical on Timothy Bradley, but you got to remember, you got to give these guys the benefit of the doubt, right? Because they dealing with a whole lot. They dealing with a lot of influence, and it can't do too much. You know what I'm saying? So you guys got to keep that in mind. So Andre Ward's scorecard don't even take, for the people that was bashing Andre Ward for his scorecard. Well, guess what? When you have a cancer talking to your ear all night like Testator, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get influenced. You're going to start believing, oh, was the 7th round close? Oh, yeah, it probably was, and gave it to him. You know what I'm saying? He got influenced by Testator. So it takes a stronger character person to block all that out. And, you know, during the moment, because of the hype, because of the emotion, watching the fight live, there's no telling how a judge or a fighter might score the fight. But I remember Timothy Bradley. I knew he was influenced by Teddy Atlas when he started talking about Lomachenko, right? Because he was saying Lomachenko is pound for pound #1 and over Terrence Crawford. And mind you, Terrence is Timothy Bradley homeboy. Like, that's his boy. Timothy Bradley put Terrence Crawford on the map. So I was extremely shocked when I heard that, and I was disappointed by Timothy. But I knew where it was coming from. I'm like, oh man, it's that Teddy Atlas influence. I automatically knew what Timothy Bradley was coming from because it didn't make no sense to me. Now I don't care what your opinion is, as long as you stay consistent, right? Now Timothy Bradley, like I pointed out before, he said Terrence Crawford, he can beat Floyd Mayweather prime for prime. Let that sink in. Timothy Bradley said Terrence Crawford could beat Floyd Mayweather prime for prime. Now, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. There's nothing wrong with Timothy Bradley saying that. But what's wrong is for you to say that and then say Lomachenko is pound for pound #1. So if you really think that highly of Terrence, how highly do you think of Lomachenko? Oh, is Lomachenko the greatest? You just saw Lomachenko have his toughest fight of his career, according to him, against Luke Campbell, a fighter that's not even on the top 5 lightweight division. He's not even a top 5 in his own division, and he was going life and death with him, claiming that's his toughest fight when we already know it's Salido, but we're going to go by what Lomachenko said, right? Because that's an actual win. So he said that was his toughest fight. And Timothy Bradley, like I said, he would say, you know, Lomachenko's pound for pound #1, and Andre Ward even was like, "What?" He was like, "Man, you tripping? You tripping, Tim?" And he had a debate with him with where Andre Ward schooled Timothy Bradley. So I think Andre Ward need to implement that same thing he did with Bradley. He need to implement that with Testator live. However, in a shorter version, where, like, you know, just point out the facts, where Testator just can't respond. You know what I'm saying? But I know Ward didn't mean no harm by it. I think it's just, I truly believe Testator, he's just, if you're next to that decaf wizard, you possibly get influenced too. You know what I mean? So I don't blame him. But Teddy Atlas, let's talk about him. Teddy Atlas. He stated after Floyd Mayweather beat Manny Pacquiao, nobody going to miss Floyd Mayweather after the fight with Pacquiao. So, hold on. My man Reem only said they're going to hype up Ryan Garcia next. Watch. Man, they need to hype up Teo now. I mean, Teo, he on the map. You know what I'm saying? I mean, why they got to go to Ryan? But yeah, Ryan, he got a lot of fan base, so we could anticipate a storm of decaf coming through. But, you know, shout out to the kid though. You know what I mean? I believe he got great talent as well. You know what I'm saying? But who they need to hype up is Devin and Shakur. That's who the real talent is. But they all great though. Javante, Teo, Ryan. I mean, I'm just so excited for the future in the sport of boxing. But Teddy Atlas, he stated in the past, nobody going to miss Floyd Mayweather after the fight with Pacquiao. So it's fair to say, according to Teddy Atlas' logic, according to his own logic, nobody's going to miss Lomachenko after the stinky fight versus Lopez. I mean, talking about boring, talking about not trying to win. I mean, at this level, at this highest level, you do not give rounds away. I mean, just look at Teo. Teo, he's not the veteran in there, right? Teo is the young buck. He a one-time world champion. He had no title defenses. And credit to Teo, he schooled Lomachenko in his own game by boxing him with ease. Now, if you guys recall the fight, Teo made Lomachenko work for every single round. the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th. That's the only 4 rounds you could give to Lomachenko. Other than that, you can't give Lomachenko no rounds. Absolutely no. Then 4 rounds you could give to Lomachenko, right? It's still close. Some rounds you might give it to Teo. You know what I'm saying? Because Teo still did good work. But then 4 rounds you could give to Lomachenko. That's why I had it 8 rounds 4. It's easy to score. The first 7 rounds, like I said before, I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. But the point is, Teo made Lomachenko work every single round. He made him dig deep. He made him go life and death in order to win a round. However, Lomachenko, on the other hand, with all that experience, he gave up 7 rounds and gave them to to Teo. Are you serious? This fighter that passes the eye test, supposedly the greatest fighter since Muhammad Ali, supposedly he as gifted as Roy Jones, the most technical fighter of all time. They call him the Matrix. He gave up 7 rounds, moving around the ring. For the first 6 rounds, Lomachenko threw and landed 7 power punches. Now let that sink in again. 7 power punches. That's equivalence of 1 punch each round. That's a stinker right there, according to Teddy. If you're complaining about Floyd Mayweather versus Pacquiao, I mean, go back and check the statistics. People lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Check out the statistics for Floyd Mayweather versus Pacquiao for Floyd Mayweather first 6 rounds and Lomachenko against Teo for the first 6 rounds. Check out the statistics, Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo Alvarez, because that's Floyd Mayweather version of Lopez, even on a higher scale, because Canelo had 50 fights. He was a pro for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? He was also 23, just like Lopez, just with more experience. And he went to 12 rounds on more than one occasion. How many punches Floyd Mayweather landed and threw for the first 6 rounds against Canelo and Pacquiao? It ain't even comparable. They don't even compare. And Teddy Atlas, he said, Floyd Mayweather, nobody going to miss him when he retired because people pay to watch a great fight, not to watch a stinker. Well, what was Lomachenko doing? What was he doing? He wasn't throwing no punches. He wasn't even trying to win the rounds. You know what I'm saying? He was moving around the ring. Was he dancing? Absolutely not. Was he running? According to the decafs, all they had to say when it came to Floyd Mayweather beating Pacquiao, he was running. He was running. When he was right in front of Pacquiao, right in his face, all you decafs, all you said was, oh, Floyd Mayweather ran against Canelo. When he was backing up the bigger man that was 20 pounds bigger than him, he backed up Canelo, and that was his 5th weight division. All you decafs, all you had to say was Floyd Mayweather running. I didn't hear not even one decaf come to my section and say, Lomachenko, he was running. He was boring. Lomachenko, he this, he that. I didn't hear none of that. I didn't hear Teddy Atlas call Lomachenko a stinker, having a stinker performance, or boring, or nobody going to miss him when he retire. I didn't hear him say that. What that sound like to you guys? That sound like it's a racial issue. Because every time there's a fighter on the coincidental list, when Rigondeaux moves, when Floyd Mayweather dances, they say they running. When there's a fighter on the hope list doing the same thing, oh man, look at him, his beautiful boxing skills. Look at him dancing in the ring. When there's a fighter on the coincidental list that has an iron chin, they say, oh, he a punching bag. They say he a punching bag. I kid you not. When there's a fighter on the hope list, oh man, he got an iron chin. Man, who could stop this wall that's keep coming forward? That's all they have to say about Rocky Marciano. You know what I'm saying? They don't talk about his weak resume and him retiring after 7 years. So that's just to point out the double standards in the sport that, you know, like I said, Lomachenko hardly threw and he hardly landed a power punch, and they rather use deflection tactics instead of talking about what Teo is doing. They never called Lomachenko boring. You know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget the day, like I said before. Andre Ward knocked out Kovalev, who was hyped up to be pound for pound number 1 or 2. Andre Ward knocked him out in a rematch, right? Terrence Crawford just became undisputed in a knockout fashion in the 3rd round. And Teddy Atlas had the audacity to tell both Terrence Crawford and Andre Ward right to their face, you guys are not competing with each other. You guys are competing with, he told him, you guys are competing with Lomachenko. I kid you not. When Lomachenko was 8-1, he just lost to Salido, and he avoided the rematch. He ducked the Salido rematch. And mind you, Andre Ward is a gold medalist who never lost a fight since, like, what, 12, 14 years old, had an injury and fought through it and won every fight in a dominant fashion. But the Kovalev first fight, where he won 8 rounds to 4, or if you want to be generous to Kovalev, 7 rounds to 5 in favor of Ward, and came back and ran it back right away and beat Kovalev in a knockout fashion. We talking about that guy who won the Super 6, dominated 168 and 175, cleaned out both of the divisions, never avoided a single name. He told Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford, the most 2 dominant fighters at the time, when Floyd Mayweather retired, you guys not competing with each other. You guys competing with Lomachenko, who just lost, who's 8-1, who just avoided Salido. Rematch. That's what Teddy Atlas did. And then when they asked him why, he said, according to the eye test. Well, that eye test, I'll tell you one thing. Teddy don't have 20/20 vision, because clearly he wasn't seeing well when it came to Lomachenko eye test. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, people lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. And Lomachenko he didn't have the numbers to back it up. We ain't talking about, remember, this ain't this right here to prove the amateurs is different than the pro. Yeah, he 401 in the amateurs, but in the pros is a completely different game. Salido beat him. Teo beat him. Truth be told, I think Gervonta beat him. I think Devin Haney beat him. I think Shakur schooled him easy. You know what I'm saying? Lomachenko is a great talent, but the pro is a completely different sport, and this is to prove. So to all you decavs that discredit Floyd Mayweather for beating Canelo, well, Teo pulled it off. He showed that he was born ready. It's about the skills at the end of the day. What Floyd Mayweather do was very impressive. To be undefeated for 20 years, fight the best and beat the best, and beat all type of records. You got to pay homage, because if you discredit Floyd, I want you to discredit every single fighter in the game. You can't discredit Floyd and praise Canelo, who's ducking everybody, and praise Lomachenko, who ducked Salido, who ducked Devin Haney, who happened to be green according to Lomachenko, who ducked Manny Pacquiao, who wanted to fight him at 135. And now we see why he ducked Manny Pacquiao, because Pacquiao would have smoked Lomachenko. We could see, I see why he didn't want the Pacquiao fight. I used to wonder, because that was his coming out party, but now I could clearly see why. So, like I said before, you know, when Floyd Mayweather, you know, when you talk about Floyd and what he did in the sport of boxing, remember when Floyd fought Pacquiao, he was trying to fight him in 2009 right away, and it was Pacquiao who turned down the fight. Guess why? Pacquiao turned down the fight because of a drug test. Even Freddie Roach, his trainer, admitted that it was Pacquiao's fault, right? And Bob Arum even revealed that he didn't want the fight at the time because he wanted to build up the fight. You know what I'm saying? So, or at least he didn't. He implied it when he told it. So the facts is already out there. I'm gonna provide it in the comment section below. But it was crazy to me that when Floyd Mayweather was fighting Pacquiao, nobody was complaining about that fight being boring, because everybody was cheering. All you heard whenever Floyd Mayweather landed was like, ooh, and you just hear cheers. You know what I'm saying? And then when Pacquiao actually throws a flurry, man, that arena exploded. The roof was on fire. Nobody complained about the fight being born. Did you guys hear any boos? Absolutely no. It was born to Teddy Atlas because Teddy was running for Pacquiao and he was getting pieced up. That's why it was born on his end, because he had nothing to cheer for. Only in 2 rounds he was cheering. Other than that, he was pretty much crying the whole night. So after the fight, he want to say the fight born. The decaps want to say that because why? That's just another excuse to discredit Floyd. That was just their way to discredit Floyd. I ain't hear nobody say Lomachenko born, like I said before. And Lomachenko, he threw no punches, literally. He landed no punches in the first round. He landed 7 punches for the first 6 rounds. And that's to prove that the double standards in the sport of boxing is real. They exist. And thanks to these decaf wizards, they influence the public, in which they brainwash a lot of the casual fans into becoming decafs. And that's why new media is here, to point out all of the double standards in the sport. And that's why we need guys like Andre Ward to stand up. And when they in a position like they are in, to call out guys like Testator for lying to the public, for disrespecting the legends like Floyd Mayweather. Because if he gonna disrespect Floyd, he gonna disrespect you, Ward. He gonna do the same thing. And we can't have that, because Ward fought everybody. Ward never ducked nobody. Ward is one of the all-time greats, maybe top 20, top 30. So if he gonna discredit Floyd, you best believe if you wasn't in the room, he would have did the same to you. And we already know Ward was talking about Canelo and Gennady Golovkin. These are the guys that was actually ducking. That's the guys he was referring to. You know, so mind-boggling to me. But at the end of the day, 3 things that will always come out, like Bill said. The sun, the moon, and the truth. They will always come out. So you guys could hate on the youngin' Devin, claiming he this, he that, but guess what? He gonna kill you guys with success. And the best way is to let your success make the noise. Now, I remember Max Kellerman told Teo he not a real champion before the Lomachenko fight. The real champion is Lomachenko, who gave up his belt to Devin Haney, who requested a French fries belt, a witness protection belt, in order to fight, in order to avoid Devin Haney, right? Now it all backfired because all of the hype was gone and got taken by the takeover Teo Lopez. Max said Lomachenko pound for pound #1. Max said he better than Duran. He better than this guy. He the most gifted or the most exciting fighter in the game. I mean, man, he has so much to say, even as far as claiming Lomachenko is the best technical fighter possibly of all time. I mean, they went far and beyond when it came to Lomachenko, man. He did the same thing to Gennady Golovkin. Now, when the Gennady Golovkin hype train crashed, he hopped off the train, right to the Lomachenko train. He went to the hype train. Now that crashed. Now he at the subway running in New York, looking for another hype job to jump on the train. Bro, just tell the truth, man. See, Max Kellerman, he knows the truth. That's the thing. Max Kellerman knows the truth. He want to say Floyd Mayweather, he the TBE. When Floyd says he TBE, he means he the best businessman of all time. What? Do you even hear yourself? So Max Kellerman says these things in order to please the decavs, the casual fans, because he is a decav wizard. But like Floyd Mayweather said, I'd rather be hated for telling the truth than be loved for telling a lie. It's clear as day. Max Kellerman he rather be loved for telling a lie than be hated for telling the truth. So so at the end of the day, like I said, we already know what time it is. So Teo is the real champion now, but he ain't undisputed till he sees Devin Haney. And that's the truth. ESPN could put false advertisement out there, but the truth will always come out. Now, they pretty much told on themselves that, hey, we lied to the casual fans. We lied to the public. And by a big entity like ESPN, you don't see that. Look, you got to be somewhat professional at a certain level. You can't be a ESPN, one of the biggest, if not one of the biggest boxing entities, boxing network in the United States, and you don't have that much credibility in which you lie to the public, labeling Lomachenko versus Teo as for undisputed instead of unification. Just call it how it is. So ESPN have to be held accountable, and they must hold Testator accountable. They fired Teddy Atlas, but it's time for Testator to go, man. They could easily grab Roy Jones. His contract is about to be over. He said December, his contract is about to be over. So please get Roy Jones instead of Testator. Get Testator the heck out of here and get Roy Jones to work with Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley. Man, that would be a great collab. Now we're going to, because remember, I don't know if people know this, but Jim Lampley used to shit on Roy Jones. I kid you not. They would do commentary together, and he would talk crap about the fighter that's fighting. In the meantime, he's shitting on Roy. And Roy didn't pick that up till later on. He was like, whoa, like, this man talking about me. and pretty much that's what Testator is doing. And like I said, if he not stopped, he said they're going to create another cancer in the sport of boxing like Jim Lampley. So with that being stated, like I said before, it's just the double standards is unreal in the sport of boxing. I mean, I remember the day, man, I was so shocked by the fact that Teddy Atlas, he came out, right, when between the Floyd Mayweather and the Pacquiao saga, everybody was trying to act dumb. Everybody was trying to act like they had no sense. They can't comprehend the fact that, oh, okay, well, if this guy don't want to take a drug test, then why not fight him without a drug test? Like, what you mean? So you want to fight somebody on something? Are you serious? You know what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to bring is that Teddy Atlas came out to the public and he was being politically correct, but at least he still told the truth. He was like, listen, Floyd Mayweather just want to make sure he's on an even playing field. Pacquiao, if he wants to fight, he must take the test because Floyd is saying he's on steroids. How did you move up all the weight divisions? If you don't want to take the test, then you're not clean. Now, as a fighter, with all that money on the line, the legacy on the line, you're supposed to be like, man, give me that needle. Because Pacquiao said he's scared of needles when he had tattoos, right? They should have told him, man, give me that needle. I test myself. You know what I'm saying? But Teddy Atlas, he pointed that out, which was shocking to me that Teddy Atlas, he told the truth when it came to that matter. He even revealed shocking information, such as he stated that Pacquiao team requested to Mayweather to keep it under the hush. He stated they asked Floyd Mayweather, listen, can you keep it under the hush if I take a test 14 days before the fight, or I fail a test 14 days before the fight till after the fight? Now, do you guys hear this? Like, what does that sound like? Teddy Atlas, he voluntarily gave that information to the public. That Pacquiao team sent Floyd Mayweather shady emails. And then when the fight happened, it was Teddy Atlas who was interviewing Floyd, and he asked Floyd Mayweather, he said, why didn't you fight Pacquiao in his prime? Was it a business decision to build the fight? You knew Pacquiao turned down the fight due to a drug test. You knew Pacquiao didn't want to fight Floyd Mayweather, and you even reported on it. You pretty much exposed Pacquiao. You even said Pacquiao is on that forbidden fruit at some point. But when it came to a fighter on the coincidental list going against the fighter on the hope list, you want to paint the narrative that Floyd Mayweather, it was a business decision to build the fight when you know the truth. Man, that was extremely shocking to me. So like I said, fighters on the coincidental list, they have to deal with a whole lot. Floyd Mayweather always said 50-0 is not that simple. I didn't just beat my opponent. I beat the referee, the judges, the commission, the corruption in the sport, the commentators, so on and so forth. I remember the day, like I said before, Floyd Mayweather will be fighting, and then they will be like Jim Lampley and Larry will be like, man, well, He's boring though. And then the next fight is entertainment. I mean, it's the fight of the year, him and Endom. Then Jim Lampley is like, well, there's no fans in this. He not putting asses in the seats like Oscar De La Hoya. He will never be an Oscar De La Hoya. And guess what Floyd Mayweather did? He proved him wrong. He proved him wrong. Hold on. Amazon Halt. What about the questionable WBA super title that need to be supposedly paired with the regular title to be legit? Yes, sir. I'm gonna talk about that in a few. Yeah. But like I said, damn. Yeah. So Oscar De La Hoya, I mean Teddy, Larry's told Floyd Mayweather, well, he just told the public that Floyd Mayweather, he could be as exciting as he wants, but he never be an Oscar De La Hoya. And how ironic is it? Everything Larry and Jim Lampley said, everything they doubted Floyd Mayweather with, they said he will never be a Sugar Ray. They said he will never be an exciting fighter. They said he will never put asses in the seats. Everything they said, Floyd Mayweather surpassed and did well and far and beyond, becoming the biggest star in the sport of boxing, doing the most pay-per-view over Oscar De La Hoya, surpassing Oscar De La Hoya by 4. He the biggest star in the sport of boxing according to pay-per-view. Obviously, Floyd Mayweather is as big as the sport gonna get. Mike Tyson is, I think it's fair to say Mike Tyson more popular, but he just didn't make the right decisions, so he didn't get a chance to stay on top as long as Floyd. Also, Muhammad Ali is important to point out. Muhammad Ali was bigger than the sport. If Floyd Mayweather is as big as the sport gonna get, Ali was bigger than the sport of boxing because he was a political figure, you know. But just to point out, like I said, the double standards, and Floyd Mayweather overcame that, and that's the same thing Shakur is gonna face. That's the same thing Devin is already facing. This is the same thing. A lot of fighters, everybody on the coincidental list. If you're on the list, go ahead and welcome the double standards. Tell you that right now. But to answer your question, yes, Halt. Yeah, it was the WBA that started it, and actually the WBC want to pretty much copy the same idea, but according to the WBA, they did it a little bit differently. They want to say that pretty much they want to say that the WBA is the real title. The regular title is not the real title. The super title is the real title. I don't know why that is, but back in the day, to be a super champion, you had to defend your title 10 times in order to be a super champion. That way, you could pretty much let your once you defend your title 10 times, you're a super champion. You're a proven champion. You don't have to fight your mandatory. That's pretty much what it is. But now they giving out super titles. They giving out regular titles. So, yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? There's too many titles in the sport, and that's what's hurting the sport. There's nothing wrong with the interim title. There's nothing wrong with the silver diamond belt. What's wrong is with the main belts. 4 belts is already enough. We don't need every organization to have 2 belts per organization recognized as the real titles. But as far as I know, the super title is the legit title. The regular title is for you to challenge for the super title. Also, on the other hand, we have the WBC French fries title, the Women's Protection Belt, is pretty much an interim title for the real WBC title. For example, the one Charlo and Devin Haney have. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, sis? AKHi, please continue to schedule your lives 2 days before so I can catch them. I'm not getting notifications. Much respect to Bill Haney. Shout out to Bill Haney for always pulling up and showing AKHi love and support. And thank you, sis. I'll definitely do that. You guys can always keep up with me by, type in the name AKHi TV on the search bar, and if you can, always if you could actually click on the notification bell. Some people having trouble with it. I'm gonna try to see what's going on, but you can click on the notification bell to get notified every time I post or go live. Subscribing is not enough. If you want to be an AKHi of mine, you gotta go that extra mile with me. You gotta click on the notification bell to get notified every time I post or go live. So with that being stated, I I got you, sis. Most definitely do that. And shout out to Bill as well for pulling up. Like I said, the fight we want to see, the fight the world want to see in the sport of boxing is Devin Haney versus Teo. It must happen. It has to happen. It's for undisputed. The best versus the best. Devin Haney, the A-class boogeyman in the sport of boxing. Teo, arguably top three. I mean, I think it's fair to say he top three, man. Because if you beat a top three pound for pound, you are automatically you replace that person on the pound for pound list. So wherever you had Lomachenko on the pound for pound list, put Teo there. So Teo, a pound for pound fighter. Devin Haney, a special talent. Teo has the potential. I mean, I think he the next Prince Nassim Hamed. You know what I'm saying? And he dedicated. He won't let hard work beat him. Prince Nassim Hamed, for the people that don't know, he didn't like to train. He had that same issue that Iron Mike Tyson had. So he let pretty much fame get to him. But Teo, I think he his potential in the sport, I mean, he could go so far. On the other hand, Devin Haney, like I said before, he has the potential to be the Kobe in the sport of boxing. And when he scored, he surely don't miss. So with that being said, that's the fight we want to see for undisputed for all marvels. Now or never. If it ain't now, hopefully, I don't even want to think about the fight not happening next. So let's just hope it does happen next. Hopefully, like I said before, Teo said this is the new generation. The best must fight the best. In order for the sport of boxing to be the #1 sport, we have to get the best in the sport of boxing to fight the best. I mean, in every sport, the tournaments, the UFC even have one belt and all the fighters fight each other. But the sport of boxing, we gotta talk about a fight 5 years before it happens. So hopefully that stopped at least a year before. I mean, for example, I've been talking about Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford for I don't know how long. I mean, I didn't talk about so many fights for this year and the past year that never took place. Wilder versus AJ. We've been talking about that fight for 4 years now. You know what I'm saying? So these fights have to happen, and this new generation, they're gonna eliminate all the maneuvering. There's no more the Canelo Alvarez's. There's no more no cojones. There's no more Gennady Golovkin's, Little G's. We have big dogs in the game. Fighters like Devin Haney that have OG respect points. Fighters like Teo that fought Comey, knocked him out. That fought Lomachenko, called him out 2 years ago and made it happen and beat him. Fighters like Teo, who after he had his tremendous victory, called out the boogeyman Devin Haney. So shout out to Teo for doing so. Therefore, the type of fighters, I think they setting a new trend. Devin Haney, Shakur, Teo, I think they setting a new trend in which of the best fight the best. It's never too early. That's how they run in the game right now. So the new trend in the boxing, the new trend in the sport of boxing, thanks to Teo, thanks to Devin, thanks to Shakur, is the best must fight the best. So let's see it. Subscribe below if you're trying to get, hold on, get this on the board. Subscribe below if you're trying to get smarter by the minute. If you're trying to get dumber by the second, don't listen to these decaps, the dumb casual ass fans that don't know shit about boxing. Word to
You don't know shit about boxing. You better not.
We already know who the decaps influenced by, the decaps wizards themselves. So to all the decaps, man, if you guys have any cojones, call in. Today I didn't have time because I had the pleasure to talk to Bill. But call in next time. You already know AKHi undefeated. Man, I wish a decaf would call in. Quit treating me like the Devin Haney of debating, like the Iron Mike of debating, and call in. 3 things that will always come out: the truth, the sun, and the moon. And we already know the decafs and the decaf wizards, their kryptonite is the truth. The reason why AKHi undefeated, because the truth is undefeated. Therefore, grow some cojones and call in. I appreciate all my AKHis. Shout out to everybody in the chat. OG Swag. Shout out to you, sis. Shout out to Davis. Taco Tuesday. Taco TV. The Healer. Shout out to you, sis, like I said, and I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. Appreciate you guys. But I must say, it's funny to me, as soon as the live is over, you see all these decafs in the comment section trolling, but when I'm on live, nobody calling in. None of you decafs got the cojones to call in. So stay on the, stay being a keyboard warrior in the comment section. I know why.
Please tell me why you always leave. Please tell me why you always leave.
Therefore, keep making me more money. And I'm going to keep speaking the truth every time on the mic. And to be continue on the next episode of AKHi TV on Split Decision, episode 63. Shout out to Dante, my bro, Schema AKHi, for being the entrepreneur of new media that I'm a part of. For the people that don't know, that's the entrepreneur of it all. So peace, and we out here.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Hold it, you're not that pretty. Come on, man. Wait. I took up the wall. I took up the wall.
I bear witness, there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry, on the bungle fight. Thanking you.
They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.